Hey y'all, welcome back to Best Living. Today we're making one of my favorite cozy recipes, a juicy golden roast chicken that's perfect for a small Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving. So grab your apron, preheat your oven, and let's make a cozy, comforting roast chicken that'll make your home smell like the holidays, even if it's just for a few around the table. So here is my chicken. I've had it defrosting out of the deep freezer for roughly 2 days now. This is a pretty large bird. Let's see how much it weighs. This is a whole roaster, and I can't see the poundage anymore, but it looks to be maybe like a 5 or 6 pound bird. Y'all already know I buy marked down meats. I buy my meats on sale, and I would throw them in the freezer until I'm ready to utilize them. So this little baby has been in my freezer for a hot minute. I'm trying to make room, so we're eating them today. So let's prep this in our sink, and I'll show you how to clean our chicken and get it ready for our seasoning. So we now have our bird in the sink. And I am going to just take my kitchen shears, open the package, and allow the bird to go back into the dish that it was defrosting in. Now listen, before we get started with this chicken, we are working in a clean kitchen and a clean sink. Always start with a clean space. And yes, we wash our chicken. Today I'm using white vinegar because I'm out of lemons, but either one works to cleanse your chicken and to freshen the meat. And don't toss out your neck and your gizzards. You can freeze them for a homemade stock, or you can use them to build a rich, flavorful gravy later if you're making rice or something like mashed potatoes. It's this kind of tradition that really connects me back to the kitchen that I grew up in, learning how to use every part of everything that comes into our home. Cooking Sunday dinner is more than just putting food on the table, especially for my family. It's a sacred type of event where we pass down memories, love, and culture. This is where stories get told, tons of laughter fills the air, and generations connect. It's where the elders get to kind of sit back and be honored, and kids, like I did, and now my daughter, really get to see what togetherness and family looks like. Food is a ministry for me, y'all. And Sunday dinner, this is just another way for me to express that at the altar where we gather. So I've transferred my bird to a wire rack on top of a cookie sheet or a baking tray. And we are going to just dab lightly and soak up some of the moisture that is on top of the skin. To get a really crispy skin, you need it to be dry before we add any of our seasonings, any type of oils or butters. So we're going to let this dry. Again, I'm going to pat very lightly, and then we're going to go through and clean it up a little bit more, trimming some of the fat and making sure that our bird looks pristine. So we're going to flip it over, and we're going to dab until as dry as possible. So now that our bird has been cleaned with a little bit of vinegar and rinsed off, I'm going to just go in and trim. This one doesn't have too much to trim, but a little bit of the neck flap up here. And I have my garbage bowl right to my right of me. If you see me tossing something, it's going in the trash. So I recommend you having some type of trash bowl close to you or your trash can open so that while you're cleaning your bird and trimming it, you can throw that debris away. I don't like that little part there. Trim that off. Okay, not too much skin. Again, this is a really beautiful bird. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to get a paring knife and I'm going to scrape the skin clean. So this is my little paring knife, and the way I was taught to clean a chicken, we're going to rinse him again, so don't worry, it's a double rinse, is we're going to start at the top and we're just going to go down the skin. And if there's any additional feathers, any kind of weird looking stuff, we're going to just scrape it off. I have a little paper towel next to me here to wipe it on, and we're just going to get to scraping. We're not trying to slice the skin, but we are just going to lightly, I guess, kind of just scrape it to make sure that everything is clean off the bird. And you're scraping toward yourself so that you can control the knife and you can see what you're doing. Again, be very gentle. Most of the time I find that the thighs and the legs have more of the, I don't know what you call it, sludge, little gunk that I was taught to take off. And I'll try to get enough on my knife so you can see what it actually looks like. But again, this bird is fairly clean, which is really good. Okay, there's like a little bit on here, so I'm not sure if you can see that. I'm gonna have to put in some different lighting. I'll show you when I'm done. And you may have to pull the skin kind of taut to get it off, but you want to make sure the bird is clean. And this does take time, but it does help make sure that we're not just eating a clean bird, but that our bird can brown evenly as well. We're going to preheat our oven to 450 degrees. So now that our oven has started to preheat, we're going to start chopping our potatoes. Before we do that, I do want to show you what I was able to scrape off the chicken. Now again, this step is optional for most, I guess. It's really not. This is a requirement if I'm cooking in my kitchen. But you can see on this napkin here, I'm hoping that shows up. There we go. This is some of just the stuff that comes off the chicken. I think this is primarily from the follicle where the feathers were. But either way, it's something that I was taught to scrape off and to clean thoroughly. So our chicken is now clean. It has been patted dry, and it is now resting on the baking sheet for any water to drip down to keep the moisture off the bird. So when we're ready to apply again our seasoning and oils and stuff, it will adhere much better. So here are our potatoes. Let me grab me a knife. So I have a knife, and then we're going to put them in a colander to drain, rinse and drain. Then we're going to place them at the bottom of our cast iron skillet. I'm just going to get a small colander today to dice up the potatoes because they're fairly petite. Now the original recipe does not call for adding potatoes, but I'm going to deviate and make it what I need it to be for my family. I really love potatoes. I love potatoes that get caramelized, that get really tender and soak up the juice of whatever flavoring agent that we're using. And having the chicken drippings on these potatoes are just going to be completely delicious. So we're going to slice up a few. I have a bag that was maybe a fourth left, and then a fresh bag. So we'll see how many we'll need. This might be enough. But I love having leftover potatoes. They can go in salads. They can go in soups. There's so many other different applications of roasted potatoes that you can use for making them just one time versus just it being a roast potato. So this is what this looks like right now with those halves. I'm going to probably cut open a few more, and just to make sure we have enough. So this looks like a decent amount of potatoes. We're gonna get these washed up and we're gonna get them added to our skillet. And if we still need more, we'll chop a few extra. Now, don't forget, we wash our food, not just our meat. These potatoes are root vegetables, which means they come straight out of the dirt. So make sure you give them a good scrub, and clean food is good food, period. I believe I mentioned that this is going to be a cast iron chicken. So I am going to put some butter at the bottom of my pan. Now this butter is going to baste our potatoes, and then it's also going to catch the drippings of our chicken, and this will help us create a pan sauce. So instead of adding butter later to finish a pan sauce, we're going to make everything right here in our skillet right now. So we're going to put our potatoes cut side down, and again, these are super tiny. I'm going to put them all over. Get them all in there. Squeeze them all in. And you can move the butter out of the way. I just went on and put it in there to have, but we just might put the butter on top. So we'll let that do like that. And this too is going to act as a riser for the chicken. So the chicken back will not be completely submerged in liquid as it produces its drippings, because the potatoes will help levitate the chicken just a little bit. So we're going to put our butter all around, and this will melt down like so, like that. The only real seasoning I'm going to add to this is a little bit of fresh pepper, a little hefty sprinkling of onion powder, the sprinkling of garlic powder, and just a little sprinkle of salt. Potatoes are seasoned. Now let's go back to our chicken. Okay, we are now going to season our chicken. So I season my chicken with a house seasoning. I keep it in this little container, but it contains adobo, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, salt, pepper, and crushed red pepper. So this is what I will utilize to put on our chicken, and I will do about a tablespoon per side. We really like a well-seasoned chicken in my family, so you could use a teaspoon if you would like, but we want full flavor, so we're going to use a full tablespoon per side to make sure that looks adequate. And I like to say, if you're not sneezing, you're not seasoning, because however your food smells, if you can smell the spices and seasonings, then it will normally taste the same. If you can't smell what you're cooking, it's going to be bland and you need to add some more seasoning, okay? You can over season, don't over salt. Remember that, okay? So before we do that, let me flip my chicken over. So if you have clean hands and you don't want to touch your chicken like I don't right now, an easy helper is a pair of tongs. You go straight in the cavity and you flip it over like so, like that, okay? And that keeps you from getting your hands dirty. So we're going to take about, like I said, a tablespoon or so, and we're just going to sprinkle the back. Now, ultimately, my hand will probably get dirty because I'm going to pat in my seasonings. I'm not going to smear it. I'm going to pat it in to make sure that it sticks to the skin. But before we do that, let's do another pat dry. Let's do another pat dry to release some of the moisture. So we're going to just sprinkle over. I'm not left-handed, y'all, so it's hard to sprinkle, but I like to pat with my right, but I'm trying to keep one hand free. Well, let me just do like this real quick. Alright, make sure you get your wings real good when you're on the back of your chicken, and then make sure when you're on the front you lift up the flap to get the inside. Add a little bit more on the caboose. Let me wash my hands and pull you in tighter so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So this is how the back of our bird looks seasoned. Beautiful, fantastic. So now we're going to flip them back over. Using our tongs, we're going to scoop in the middle and we're going to flip over to the front like that. And we're going to pat dry again. Removing any additional moisture from the skin as we prep it for our seasonings. So with clean hands, I'm adding another tablespoon of my house seasoning. Again, this is garlic, onion powder, adobo, smoked paprika, salt, pepper, and crushed red pepper. The good thing about a house seasoning is that it's a house. It represents what you and your family enjoy eating and the flavor profiles that fit best for you all's palate. And this one is the tea. This one works on everything. Fish, chicken, beef, pork, any and everything you can think of. So I'm just going to sprinkle it everywhere. I'm going to, again, put it in the crevice of the wings and on the breast. And then we're going to go in and pat it in. Okay. Alright, so although I prefer keeping one clean hand, it's oftentimes not the case because chicken is one of those things where you have to keep washing and rewashing just to make sure that you aren't cross-contaminating anything with, like, you know, salmonella or things like that. And plus you want everything to be extremely seasoned. So this is a really big bird. I'm probably going to need another tablespoon or so of seasoning to make sure everything is coated. So let me do that real quick. Hands are washed. I'm just going to put back on my shaker top and just shake what I need out of the bottle. So this needs a little bit over here. Massage that on. Get that wing tip back there. That wing tip. And I want to point out that this right here is a roaster thermometer. So when the chicken is thoroughly cooked and at the right temperature, just like on a turkey, this little white thing is going to pop up to let me know. Now, not all birds have that, but if you buy a whole roaster like this, then normally they will. And this is a Perdue chicken. I really like their chicken by Perdue. They're my favorite brand currently of chicken. They have really clean tasting chicken, if there's chicken that tastes like chicken. But use whatever is available to you or whatever your family likes. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to lift up the little toot of the chicken and we're going to put some seasoning in the cavity. Put your hand in and swirl it around. We're also going to add some onion, celery, and bell pepper to the cavity before we put it on top of the potatoes to roast in the oven. I have some celery here that I've already cleaned and chopped, so we'll probably need, I don't know, maybe three or four pieces. We'll do that. We're going to chop at least half an onion. Clean the paper off. Cut off the end. Cut through. And you don't have to be like extremely precise. We aren't going to actually eat this part that we put in the cavity, but it will impart flavor into our chicken. So you don't have to be like extra gracious with the onion. I might go ahead and just chop all of it, at least think 3 pieces. I really love the way onion tastes in chicken. It's something that is very distinct to me, and it's very delicious. So I'm gonna try maybe 3. If not, we'll do the whole thing. And then for bell pepper, probably maybe half your bell pepper, so maybe 3, depending on its size. 3 good sections of the bell pepper. And we're gonna just stuff these into the cavity of the chicken. Okay. So we've already seasoned the cavity. So let me put the chicken on the board, and then we'll stuff it. And another reason I like to keep my chicken on a baking tray when I am making a roast chicken is that it keeps the chicken juice to one isolated area. So I'm not having the chicken splash a million different places for cleanup. It's super easy to keep everything centralized right here on the baking tray. I can drain it, sterilize it, wash it, all done. Okay? So I put in my celery first. I'm just going to open that up and shove it in. Next, I will put in my onion. And it's kind of playing Tetris. You just got to see where it can fit in. I think maybe 2 might be the max. Add in our bell pepper. Again, when these flavors cook together, they're going to get very soft. They're going to release its natural juice and essential oils, and it's going to be so incredibly delicious. And that's one thing I love about a roast chicken, is that you can really make it, it's the same protein as far as the chicken, but based off how you season it, it can be jerk, it can be Cajun, it can be rotisserie. Today is kind of like a season, like a season all chicken. There's so many options in making roast chicken at home that it's really endless. So there's 2 options you can do for trussing your chicken. You can tie the legs together, which I will do here in a minute, with twine, or you can use dental floss if you don't have kitchen twine, and you can either tuck your wings or leave them out. My husband is a wing eater, so I normally, I don't know, it depends. I sometimes will tuck my wings if they're willing to tuck. They seem tuckable today. If they don't want to tuck on some days, then I will just kind of let them be free, but you do need to maybe tint them with some foil so they don't burn. Okay, so make sure all that's in there. Perfect. Oh, she's beautiful, guys. So pretty. I'm gonna wash my hands again. I'm washing my hands again. And I'm going to get the kitchen twine. So this is kitchen twine. It is a thick cooking rope that is heat resistant. So I'm just going to, I don't know, take off a little bit. It comes with the built-in blade, and you just go whoop, just like that. So I tear just about that much, maybe like 3 or 4 inches. And I'm just going to truss the chicken. Truss our chicken, and we're going to grab one ankle and the other ankle. We're going to bring them together. Normally bring them a little bit out. Act right, chickie. Okay. You're gonna go like this. You're gonna, if it will let me do it. All right. Here we go. Here we go. You're gonna pull it tight. Okay. All right. This chickie wants to be difficult. It is a bigger bird, but it's okay. So we're gonna hold our little legs together. So it's almost like changing, it's almost like changing a baby's diaper, right? You're gonna hold the little legs up. You're gonna tie them, right? Tie them together. Make a little knot like that. And then I'll just cut it with my kitchen knife, like that. And I'll tuck that down. And then while it's baking, it'll stay in place, and then we can pull it out or cut it off when the chicken is done. What this will help do is make sure that the chicken looks parallel now. It looks even on both sides. So while it's in the oven, the heat around the chicken will help it cook evenly and not have certain spots done, hot spots, things of that sort. So we're going to give it one last look over. I'm going to Look it over again. There's a few spots I want to hit again that are not seasoned enough for my liking. And then we're gonna put them in the what is that? Oh my gosh, the oven. I was about to say the fridge, but you are not going back in the fridge, little chickie. It is time for you to be roasted and toasted. All right, and since my hands are clean, I'm just using a napkin to help dab it. Make sure the wings got plenty of seasoning. Again, that's one of my husband's favorite cut of meat. And again, the napkin will help in place of me using my bare hands right now, at least until I move it. It'll help spread around the seasoning because it's a little damp. Okay. All right, see, it's not picking up anything. It's just helping spread it around as a little tip for you. Okay. So now that we're done, I'm going to lift the chickie up and place it in our roasting pan. And then we're going to hit it with a little bit of spray. We're going to put our chicken up here. And then what we're going to do before we bake it is we're going to give it a little spritz with some cooking oil. I like to use avocado oil to do my final spritz. But if you were basting this with butter, that would take its place. If you have any other type of cooking spray, coconut oil cooking spray, all those work the same. And what I do with this is I do it because it helps it brown evenly. So I spray from a short distance and I just spray. Oh, I'm out. Let me get another bottle, guys. Open, fresh bottle. I take it and I just spray the top. Spray the bottom. And what that will do is it will help it evenly brown. So y'all, here is our bird. Ah, so pretty. Look at that. Evenly coated, perfectly trestled. We're gonna put this in our preheated oven of 450 degrees for 35 minutes. Now this is a big bird, so I might have to go for 40 minutes and then I'll turn the heat off and go for another 30 minutes, check the temperature, and then go from there. The whole point of this is to start at a very high roast to get the skin crispy, crunchy, brown, caramelized. And then when you turn the oven off, the oven will still hold its heat and it will gradually come down in temp, making sure that our breast meat, our thigh meat, all of the meat of the chicken will help keep in its juice and become a very succulent, juicy piece and very tender roast once we cut into it. So the high temp and then the gradually lowering, make sure that our meat is tender, but our skin is crispy, brown, and beautiful. So we're gonna put this in the oven. I do wanna note that cooking in a cast iron skillet does help also even the playing field or evenly distribute the heat of whatever you're cooking, either on stovetop, roasting, whatever you want to do. My mama gave me this cast iron skillet, so I got it when, I don't know if she gave it to me when I got married or a couple years prior, but this was my mama's and she gave it to me. It is well seasoned, well loved, so anytime I use it I think about her. So hey girl, hey. So we're gonna put this in the oven, like I said. So if you are cooking chicken, you do want to make sure that you properly clean and sanitize once you are done. So my countertops will be sprayed down, my sink will be sprayed down and wiped out. I will spray down the baking rack that we used on it with disinfectant spray and put it in my dishwasher. So make sure that you clean up thoroughly before you move on to your next step to make sure there is no cross-contamination of any chicken juice, fluid, on anything else. Favorite cleaners. This is a disinfectant spray. I have no idea where it's from. It's called Smart Touch. I think my mama got it for me. I don't know. but I use this to disinfect, and then I will go in with my Mrs. Meyer's. I love this one in Snowdrop. This is normally out at Christmas, but I buy so many that I use it year round. It smells so good. And then I'll go back through with my multi-purpose spray to make everything kind of smell good and clean. Okay, so these two together are what I use to clean up my sink. Now you can also use Lysol, Clorox wipes, Lysol wipes. You can use Lysol spray as well. I don't have that available right now. We're in my kitchen, but that is something you could do too, just as a heads up and a friendly reminder. I did want to mention that I did take out the giblets and the neck. Now, if you've never seen this before, these are parts of the chicken. Okay, when you get a whole roast chicken, you get the parts as well. So you have the neck, which is this part here, and then you have like the liver and the giblets. Now, giblets rather. You can use this to boil down, make stock. This makes an excellent gravy. An excellent gravy. This is all my mama used to use growing up. You add some water till you cover it, you boil it down, add your seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and you use this liquid to make your gravy. Absolutely wonderful. You can also freeze this. You can also make chicken stock from this. I'm not going to use it today in my application of cooking my roast chicken because we're not having like rice or anything like that. And I'm going to transport it into a Ziploc bag and throw it in my freezer for another time. But I did want to show you that these are the contents of a whole chicken. They come contained in a wrapper, and you can use them to make gravy, make chicken stock. You can fry these up and eat them. I don't do that, but you can. It's an option. So just an FYI if you've never done it or seen it before. How our chicken is looking so far. Getting good and brown. So we're going to do a few more minutes in the oven, then it should be ready here in about 30 minutes or so. All right, friends, here is our beautiful roast chicken. I've given y'all a close-up already. I'm going to put it on my cutting board for a moment. It's still warm, so I'm going to put it on a pot holder on my counter. Right there. It's been resting for about maybe 10 minutes out of the oven. I'm going to grab a pair of tongs to put it on our cutting board, and we're going to carve it up. She's really pretty, y'all. I'm really happy with the way she turned out. Our external thermometer also popped up, indicating that the chicken is done and cooked thoroughly. Place it down. It smells so good. Our potatoes are at the bottom of our skillet. So we're gonna put our potatoes in this bowl here. They are tender. They look absolutely beautiful. So the potatoes are like super tender. They're beautifully browned and toasted. Let's take a little test. They are cooked beautifully. Again, they are tender. They have the really good flavor from our seasoning. It has the drippings that taste like chicken. So good. We do have a pan sauce in here that we're going to get to in 1 minute. But for now, I want to give you a close-up of our chicken. So here is our bird. It did get a little crispy, which is great. Our little thermometer or doneness popped up, so we know that our chicken is cooked thoroughly. The real test to see if your chicken is cooked is to pierce it between the thigh and the body. So we're going to pierce this right here. And if the juices run clear, then it is ready. And that looks clear to me. Beautiful. All right, now we're going to go ahead and carve this chicken so we can get it on our servingware. Carving a whole chicken might seem intimidating, but it's really simple once you know the steps. I'll talk you through it. Start by removing your thigh and your leg. Slice it where the thigh meets the body and gently pull back until the joint pops. Then cut through. Do the same on both sides. Next, remove the wings. Just like the legs, find the joint and slice clean through. Now for the breast. Use your knife to cut right down the middle of the breastbone. Then gently work along the bone to remove each breast half. Slice them across the grain for tender pieces and keeping the skin intact. That's it. Nothing fancy, just a few clean cuts, and you've got a beautiful platter ready to go. And don't forget about the pan drippings. You can reduce them on the stovetop for a rich pan sauce, or just strain like I do today and serve as an au jus on the side. Either way, it'll be packed with full flavor and it gives your chicken a little bit of a razzle dazzle or something extra special. A little tip when plating food for your family or just yourself: don't rush. You took the time to make the meal, so take the time to present your meal with care. It can be a nice plate, beautiful china, or a paper plate. Whatever it is, make it beautiful for you. I like to layer the pieces of my chicken so that it stays crispy and the juices don't pool too much together. If I'm serving along with other sides like today, I will place the meat in a separate container, or if I'm using the same type of tray where it's easy to grab, especially for your littles or for some of your older family members. Again, plating doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to say you matter and to make it beautiful. Food for me is a love language in my home, and it's a part of how I get this message across to my family. Even when Jesus broke bread, he did it with care. There's something sacred about feeding people and feeding people well. All right, y'all, I want to show you how tender this chicken is. Y'all see that? Can y'all see that juiciness? This chicken is so tender, so succulent, and I'm so excited. My hands are literally dripping, but I wanted to show you just how tender this comes out. The skin is still intact and crispy, not soggy. So definitely give this technique a try. I did put the liquid from the chicken in a little cup, and I don't have a fat separator, so I just mixed up really good. But you can always take a little bit and drizzle over your meat and make sure that it remains moist and delicious for your enjoyment. So I hope that you enjoyed today. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you for hanging on. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Share it with someone that you want to build community with. We are over 1,000 members strong. I hope that you enjoyed learning something new. If you did please make sure that you like the video, share it with someone that could use this knowledge or benefit from me. I am so excited to be growing our community. So thank you for your help in doing that. As always, I pray that you know that you are seen, that you are so incredibly loved, and you are chosen of the Most High. And I want to say thank you for hanging out with me today. We're going to go eat and enjoy, clean up, and I will see you back here Sunday at 6 o'clock. Bye, y'all.